Saul Eslake is an economist, and he's also the Vice-Chancellor's Fellow at the University of Tasmania, and he's been following and analysing the Australian economy for more than 40 years now, and he joins us from Hobart. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on the program today. Now, first off, I want to get your analysis on the campaign that we've now put behind us, because both Scott Morrison and Albanese have had their highs and lows.
It's been an uninspiring campaign, in my view, where the government is seeking to run on its record of managing the pandemic and the Australian economy through that, emphasising that the unemployment rate, most recently reported on Thursday, is now the lowest since the mid-1970s. The Labor Party, having lost an election which everyone expected them to win in 2019, has run a small target strategy, seeking to minimise the differences between them and the government and focusing on a small range of issues. Neither side of politics has really sought to persuade the Australian people that they have a clear, strong vision for this country over the next decade in very challenging economic and geopolitical circumstances. And in fact, a significant number of Australians seem to have turned off both major parties. And in the early results, we're actually seeing swings away from both the governing Liberal Party and the main opposition Labor Party in favour of minor parties, in particular the Greens, and in some of the Liberal Party's safest seats in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and probably Perth, swings towards centrist independence. And at this stage, the result may well be a hung parliament in which minor parties or independent candidates have the balance of power.
Wow, and inflation is a pivotal concern for voters and a major issue that the next Prime Minister will need to address in urgency. Just give us some insight into how high inflation is currently affecting day-to-day lives of Australians.
Well, the most recent Australian inflation rate over the year to March was 5.1%. That was the highest, abstracting from past tax changes, in 30 years. And as we saw in the past week, Australian wages have only risen by 2.4% over the same period. So in real terms, that is after adjusting for increases in prices, Australians have been experiencing reductions in their real wages. The government is trying to argue that they're seeking to address falling living standards and rising costs of living through income tax cuts and cash handouts. The opposition is saying that they will seek to pursue and to support higher, bigger increases in wages for workers. And that's been one of the points of contention between the two major parties, is whether or not it's possible and feasible to have higher wages without pushing inflation higher or reversing the recent very welcome downward trend in unemployment.
All right, Saul Eslake, thank you so much for joining us here on Tier 2 World and sharing that insight with us. It was a pleasure speaking to you.